Hi, Internet viewers. This is Frank Rauscher again. We're proceeding on with the painting of the house finch. And I just wanted to show you, here's the finch itself, and it's gotten 3 coats of the raw umber in here, and I did the tail as well. And then I put a light coat of burnt umber, I mean a real light coat of burnt umber throughout, even on the end of the tail area. Now, this is getting dark, but it's not there yet. So I'm going to use burnt umber again, and I'm going to darken certain areas on the feathers. So I'm going to bring you down with the camera and show you how I'm going to paint that. Okay, so bear with. Okay, we're back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my thinner brush, wet that a little bit. I mixed a little more of the burnt umber, or I should say the raw umber, excuse me, and this is on a little bit on the heavier side. I got one that's a little more watered. This is a little more heavier. And what I want to do, and I'm going to switch on my optivisors, which you guys never really see. And I'm going to come in, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to darken the feathers on these primaries, secondaries, and so on. And I'm coming in, and I want to highlight these feathers here. So I'm going to use a little more of the heavier paint, and I'm going to paint this area up in here. And it's like you're doing the upper side and not the edges. Okay, and I'm doing that. You got 1, 2, 3 feathers, and then a grouping coming down. So I'm going to come in. I still want to stay somewhat fluid. I don't want to go in as a real paste one here. I don't. And then I'm going to do the inside on these. And I'm painting everything except like the edges, basically. And I'm doing this one. And it may be hard to see. I don't know how much I'm catching onto the camera here. And what I also want to do too is, as we come down with these, I just realized I got to do the feathers in front of that too. You have a grouping right here that are coming down, and it's not the very front ones right off the mantle. It's the second grouping in, and that's right in here. So I'm going to darken just these a little bit more inside, not to the outside. I'm trying to leave the edges somewhat alone. And right now, because it's brown on brown, you really don't probably see that much of a difference. And I don't know if I can get the camera to get you to see that, but I'm doing that. Then I'm going on. Woo! You do not want any buildup. Let me clean that brush off. Get the excess off. And then I'm going to come in here. And what it does, it darkens the inner part of the feather. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just get this inner part done. And then you have this little grouping down here. I'll do them. And then I'm going to come into the wing itself. You have the wing here. That's this one, and this one. This one. And on these, I'm going to ask you just to do the whole feather, because what we're going to do is we're going to highlight these feathers with white at the end, believe it or not, just on the edges. So I'm going to darken those. And then I'm going to come in here on this side and do the same thing. I'm going to come in here. I hope you can see this better. I'm darkening just the inner part. And I'll go to the next one, charge my brush up, because I got a thinner brush and I don't want to, I'm just getting enough paint to highlight these. I don't want to put my finger on the other work that I just did, so that's another thing you got to do. Be careful on not putting your finger into the works that you just did. And I'm going to come down here, pick up a little more, there, right on down. I'm going to get these in the front. Remember, I said just this, not the grouping off the mantle, which is one of these, it's the next one down. And I'm coming in on those and highlighting just the inner part on these, like so. And then I'm going to do all of, you got 1, 2, 3, and then this grouping that comes down. I'm going to ask you to go a little heavier on these, and that's going to be all of these, like so. Okay. And these are what they call the primaries, and these up here are the secondaries. So, and then I'm going to do the tail one more time. And I'm using a smaller brush still, just trying to darken that a little bit more, so we have a consistency of a dark brown down below here. And this is after we had done this 3 times before. So that's what I'd like you to do in getting this done. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to rinse your brush out, and something we haven't done, and I'm going to try to get most of the paint out of the brush, is I'm going to come in with the watery paint and come into the beak and just start giving it some color. It's a watered down burnt umber, but that isn't going to be where it ends up at. Okay, so this will be like a first coat, and we'll let that dry. Okay, and then after that's dried and everything else is dried, then I'm going to ask you to come back and give a second coat to the beak. And again, you see it only dulled the white, so don't go crazy with the idea that you got to get it brown. It isn't. I'm going to show you what it should look like when we get done. Now, here's one that is much more almost finished, and the beak at the top is darker and it's lighter on the bottom. So if you're going to get anything where you're getting a stronger brown, it would be on the top, okay, and not the bottom. So, but for now, a couple of coats, dry them in between, because if you don't dry it, it's just going to beat up on there and it's not really going to sink. So once we achieve this, and you can see it's starting to get darker all the way through just about, then what we'll do is we'll start finalizing the tips on here. And what I mean by that is I'm going to show you, we have a lot of white that goes in on these feathers, and we're going to be doing that probably next. And then we'll work on the beak as well, and then we'll get into the tail as far as getting the highlights for the edges of these feathers all the way through. So bear with me, and I hope you got something out of this. This is it's a task for patience, if I could say that, and it's the washes. And by doing this, you will have a nice subtle change. And one thing else I meant also that needs to be painted is the coverts in the middle here. If you could get that as well. I did not do that, and it doesn't have to be real dark, but give it a light coat of the umber, the raw umber wash in the middle here. Just one coat will do it. And what we'll do on the next one, I'll show you how to outline these feathers as we go. And I hope you got something out of this one as well. We're going to proceed on. Like I said, patience is a virtue here. And if you do it and take your time, it will come, and it'll look really good when we get done. So I hope you like it. If you would give me a thumbs up, and if you can subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate that as well. We are proceeding on, trying to get the finch going, and we'll see you on the next video, and thanks again. Bye now.